That was a bitch.
Welcome to the Pit Stop Ranch. Today, this episode, we are back on Jimmy after taking a little bit of a break, and we are repeating the process we did on the driver's side, on the passenger side. Hammered the dent out fairly decently, and did all the rust repair, fixed it up nice, so it is ready for paint. Okay, first thing up is we have to go ahead and find all the pinch welds on the brace, so we can unweld it just like we did with the driver's side. It's a pretty straightforward process of drilling out where the welds are. Now this time around I used a larger drill bit. I used a 3/8 drill bit, so it would go cut more of the drill, not go as deep, and then cut more of the actual weld. And then it took a lot less cold chisel work to actually knock it loose, which was important because this particular brace was was rotten pretty bad, where the other one really was no rot on it, or there was some rot, but it wasn't bad at all. Now, a lot of rot, like in here and right here, that we need to fix. And here. So we're going to do that on top of fixing all the thin spots on here. And we still have roughly half of the original patch panel we made for the other side, so we will be figuring out how to use that to the best of our abilities. Once we've figured out how we want to cut up the patch into the smaller pieces to cover the 3 areas that need repair, went ahead and cut them into the pieces, and we start good old Freezy's fabrication cut and butt method. Covered a little bit of detail in the last video, but first step is you tack the patch panel into place over the area that needs to be fixed. After you have it tacked in a few places, and a little bit of adjustment as you just saw, after that you need to go ahead and cut on two sides around the corner far enough that you can press the new panel down through the original piece, and then you tack it in a few places so that it's now the same level as everything else, and then you proceed to then cut around the rest of the panel and press it down and weld it so that it is all gets to the same appropriate level. And what you've done is you've then pushed the bad piece all the way through. After the other piece is pressed all the way through and pulled out the other side, a little hammer and dolly work to straighten everything out nice and good. And once you're happy with it, then you go ahead and do the spot welds all the way around. Now with this super heavy piece with lots of ridges and changes in elevation, it's really stiff, so I went through and buzzed it in. Only really concerned about getting too much heat in it to cause it to burn through. Not so much worried about warpage. Though some warpage did occur, it wasn't bad, and was able to hammer it back into position as I proceeded forward. And the last step, of course, is to grind it up, clean it up, and dress the welds so that they very much look properly. I went ahead and did not I filmed all of the patches, but since I covered it in a bit detail with the last one, and this one here I'm going into a slightly different detail on it, I went ahead and just showed the one. Now once it's it's patched up, I go ahead and mixed up some fiber reinforced filler putty because it's watertight, so that I can cover up where I welded, because that encourages rusting, and to go ahead and cover up the rusted areas that are not too thin. Okay, as you saw, it's welded up, and then I went ahead and put a nice layer of fiber reinforced body filler. Two reasons for that. One is, of course, because we welded, that's going to incur or result in higher probability of rusting out. But two, also to fill in the pitted areas that and protect it that's already started rusting after wire brushing it really good. Once this dries, I'll flatten it out, and I'll refine where my spot welds are, and then paint this, and then at that point there we should be able to put back on the reinforcing brace. But first we need to go through and fix and repair the thin rotten areas on this reinforcing brace. So that's the next step, is to clean this up, fix the rotten areas on it, so that we can go ahead and remount it. Okay, looking it over, I'm going to be using the same 16 gauge that I used to create the other patch and make a number of patches for this. Some more complicated than others. So let's get going. Of course, once the patch is made, go ahead and figure out exactly where it needs to go, and scribe it where I need to make the cuts, so that I can cut the area out. Now, I'm not doing the Fritz's approach on this one, just because it's a little different, and perfectly straight or whatever isn't as much of a priority. Once the area is cut out, line it up, weld it up. You know the drill from there. Yet another spot on this brace that needed repair, and duplicated the process, made the patch, scribed, cut, welded, lather, rinse, repeat. Trying to figure out with my scrap what will be the next patch panel and where it needs to go. So this is where we're at now. We have a couple patches in here. We got some really crunchy areas yet to go. One might be forgiven for asking, why are we bothering to fix this brace and not just bend up a new one? And the simple fact of the matter is, I don't have a brake. I have a vise. And bending up a piece of 16 gauge, one, I don't have a big enough piece of 16 gauge to do this. I can do it in 18 gauge. But even still, bending up a full piece like this is at a little beyond my capabilities at this precise moment. Furthermore, it's on the bottom
of the running boards, and anyone who looks at the hackery and the butchery that is this repaired brace, it's, you know, it's doubtful that it's gonna leave a bad impression upon them. And if it does, I don't know what to tell them. So we're gonna continue with this process and keep replacing more and more of it until this Frankenstein's monster is more like a proper brace. You know, and does brace-like things. Okay, as you go ahead and weld in sections, of course it's going to pull the piece out of shape, regardless of, you know, using a piece of angle iron to try and hold it straight in the welding process. And getting everything lined up nice and tight and properly requires a little bit of hammer and dolly work before you proceed, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, the brace underneath has been repaired, and the rust repair is done. Maybe do a little bit of the fiber sealing stuff to seal it up a little bit better. But next step is we got this part here that's a bit caved in. Well, you can see it there. Anyways, this area here is tweaked pretty good. And while the brace is off, this is a good time to go ahead and get in there and start beating the tar out of it. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, this is some thick metal, so we need a heavy hammer. Okay, I really wailed the hell out of it, but I've got it more or less into shape. Now I'm going to do a pass where I'm attempting to planish. What planishing is well, basically trying to smoothen it out and remove the hammer marks. I'm not going to go too crazy. Again, these are running boards. I have even nice trucks, nice restored trucks have beat the hell running boards. So there's only going to go so far on this one. Doing rust repair on an unsexy part of the truck, or beating like this is the grunt work that you have to grind through, and it's the part that most people lose interest in and give up on or hire out to other people and pay a lot of money because it's time consuming. And to get it done well means you're going to have to pay someone who's willing to, who has the patience, the skills, and the tools to do it. This is the unsexy part of restoration that you really, really want to, you just got to do. You just got to grind through. Okay, as you can see, the brace is welded in. Use the same plug fill technique. Next step is to put the studs or the carriage bolts in, weld them in so that they don't want to move. Alright, we got the studs or carriage bolts welded in as studs. Last step is to test fit and then put a coat of chassis black sealer on everything to protect it. We're declaring this running board fixed. Fixed. Let's go see if it fits. We have the passenger side running board beaten to shape. Next on the Jimmy is going to be a lot of sanding and some little bit of more metal and body work on a few other oddball components to get ready into high build primer. Once it's ready for high build, those parts such as the cab and a few of the other components are ready for high build primer, we'll be doing another round of patio painting, everybody's favorite internet show. And if you like what we're doing here on Pit Stop Ranch and you like what we did in this video, please remember to hit the like button. If you really want to support us, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Really appreciate it a lot. And I hope you have a hammer-tastic day.